Hello and welcome everyone to the stream. As you can see on screen, you can see our sponsor Rogue Energy. Don't forget to pop in and use the code PHX at checkout for 10% off your next purchase of Rogue Energy. Grab yourself some. I had some the other day. Absolutely brilliant. I think it was the rocket candy. Really, really good stuff. Highly recommended. So if you do want some, as I say, pop on, use code PHX, and you'll be able to pick up some awesome stuff. But oh, excuse me, with that out of the way, joining me today is my good man Ollie. Welcome.
Hello. Long time since I've done this.
Yes, indeed. And
Feels weird.
yeah, it does. Welcome to the Con Box. Pleasure
Thank you.
having you
Nice to be here.
with us today. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one today. Um, and we have got a pretty full grid, and quite a lot of people are going to be vying for that top spot today. Qualifying is going to be difficult. Conditions are starting on inters. Do you have any favourites, Ollie?
No, wet. See, wet quali can be a lot different to dry quali. Not a lot of people have the pace in the wet compared to the dry. So it could go any way. We will see.
For
But we have got a new few faces on the grid with us today. We've got Vabo and Mintoki. So we will see what they can do as well.
Yeah, and it's good to see Mintaki back on the grid. Mintaki did join us in the previous season, but had to temporarily stop racing for a little while, but is back on the grid, so good to see you back here with us today. In the chat, we're seeing Fur saying, "Let's go, Williams." So today we have got in the Williams team, Crumpets, and let's see, is Crumpets' teammate here? So we've only got one Williams here today. How do you think Crumpets can do? It's one of those things, as you say, Ollie. The wet quality can tend to throw a lot up in the air. Could we see a surprise pole sitter today? Usually we would see Tixnix, Kakarinas, Fat Cat. They would be the ones that would be up there battling for pole position. But yeah, a lot can change in this session.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of crumpets, driver 4 Williams, he's recently had a streak of good results in the first 3 rounds. So round 1 he finished 4th place, round 2 he finished 6th place, and then his best finish of the season last round um was 2nd place. So maybe he can do one better this time around and get that top spot.
Maybe it's all going to be about keeping it consistent out there, especially with starting on the very wet tires, the extreme wets. Uh, Track conditions are going to be very tricky, and it's all about being on the right tire at the right time, and making that call can make or break the difference between a race win or potentially finishing lower down. But let's see how we get on. Just about to prep ourselves for a qualifying then.
Shall I go through some cool little fun facts?
Certainly, let's hear some fun facts.
Alright, well, the first ever Grand Prix around this track was held in 1950,
Wow.
on obviously the old layout, which had the half oval, which was quite fun. I've actually tried it in Asetek as well. That was chaotic. For the track length today, we have 5.7 kilometers long. The lap record around here is 1 minute and 21 seconds by Rubens Barrichello in the F2004. I'm pretty sure most of us should remember that amazing car. The record for the most pole positions is held by Lewis Hamilton, 7 pole positions around this track. And the most wins is shared by Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton on 5 wins. Those are some
Interesting.
cool little Ollie fun facts for you.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. That is some good stuff. Sorry, just changing the audio balance there for us. And if I'm not mistaken, Monza is one of those tracks, maybe only beaten by Monaco. It's one of those tracks that's held one of the most Grand Prix, hasn't it? It's maybe like second or third.
I think it's third. I
I
can.
think, if I remember right, Monaco must have held them all because it's been on the calendar every year, unless I am mistaken. But yeah, we have been here so many times, and it's on our calendar here today. Milan is going to be the first one to take us round for a lap.
It is Monza. Sorry, side note.
Oh, it is Monza, as Monaco missed out 2020. Interesting. Thanks very much, Jakob. Of course, yes.
There we go.
2020 is the one, the only season, if I remember correctly, that Monaco has missed out on. So let's go on board here with Milan. As we come up towards the line, you want to try and get on throttle as early as possible. This is a very long straight indeed, and we're going to take the shortest route we possibly can down to turn one. Tricky conditions here, so we're going to brake earlier than normal. Approximately around about 150 meters. Flick the car in to the right, then to the left, as we then again get hard on the power as we come around Curva Grande. And we're going to then again hit a hard braking zone as we hit the second chicane. We're going to brake once again early, approximately about 130 meters there. Avoid that sausage on the inside as we then approach the Lesmos, two high-speed corners. Make sure you don't understeer too wide. You want to hug that inside a little bit wide here for Milan, but keeps it well within track limits. And we're going to cut down to the inside for the second Lesmo, and then once again power our way down to the legendary Ascari. We're going to go underneath the old oval through the bridge. We're going to brake here at about 130. Flick the car into Ascari. We're going to avoid those sausages on the inside. Take as much of the curb as we possibly can as we exit down towards Halluciné. Welcome to the stream. Down towards Parabolica. Where are we going to brake? We're going to brake very late here. Down into Parabolica and let the car drift out wide as we apply the power hard on it as we go towards the line. And that then is going to be a 128.0 for Milan. So the Haas then taking first blood here. Apologies, I need to tweak this audio again because it's absolutely blowing my eardrums out.
While Mav
There we
does
go.
that, though, we've had our first victim to the rain, being the Ferrari driver, obviously their home track here today of Pinax. Unfortunately, just lost it coming out of Ascari into the barriers and lost his wheel.
Yeah,
So that is the end of qualifying for Pinax.
that's really unlucky there for Pinax. Right at the start, didn't even get a chance to put in a banker lap. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough weekend then for Pinax, but there's nothing he can do at the moment. Oh wow, Brooklands racetrack was the first purpose-built racetrack built in 1907. We're getting all the facts today.
I know.
Excellent. There we go.
Still are doing
But
more research now.
yeah, exactly. I think the surprise Ollie fact is a hit with the viewers. So
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo doing well here today, but Bottas comes in and splits the two Alfa Romeos. Then let's go on board with Flynn, who's coming through the second chicane at the moment down towards the Lesmos. Where can Flynn put it? The reserve McLaren at the moment on pole, 27.2 from Mintoki. Now, is that because the track is drying? It looks like it's not raining anymore. So I wonder, is the track drying up and that's why the times are going to get quicker? Yeah, 26.6 from Mintoki. So, yeah, things are getting quick out there.
Obviously, the track conditions will be getting quicker and quicker as the qualifying session goes on. But it will be curious to know, if any drivers are in the chat, is it actually going to dry up? Like, fully? Are we going to see softs? Hopefully. Maybe. We'll see.
Is the ultimate question. At the moment, 11 minutes to go. Viper saying it's not going to, but Ver's saying apparently it is. So this is going to be interesting. Now, the question is, Ollie, do you risk a soft run at the end? Well, I tell you who is going to risk it. Milan checking out the softs already. So already the drivers then looking at different tire compounds, or different tire types rather. Is Milan going to leave the pits on soft tires, or are they just going to wait until the changeover point? It still looks too wet at the moment for the dry tires. Fabo with the 26.0 going 6/10 quicker as Kakarinas with the 26.3. And Fat Cat now as well also checking. There we go, DRS enabled. That is usually the indicator that it is time for soft tires. So we should see a lot of drivers leaving the pits now on soft tires to try and get out there and set a faster lap time. Chewy, though, does continue and sets a 25.6. So lap times are falling.
Be interesting to see what they fall to, though.
Yes, indeed. Will they fall as we get a 125.2 from Mr. Bust? Will they fall all the way to usual dry conditions, or will we not quite get there?
Flynn on a lap on the
25.0.
inters. From Sector 1, he is on a 9/10 improvement.
That is incredible, as many drivers are improving here. 24.8, and that does look awfully dry out there now. I don't like how quickly it does get this dry.
Compared to ACC, the weather just goes instantly.
Yeah. I could have done with it drying up this quickly in Zolder.
Here we go, the lap times are starting to crumble. Wow. We are now into the 23s. Obviously, they are limited by the inter tires. So it'll be interesting now that we have some of the soft runners starting to come out.
Yeah,
those
here
being
we go
Fat
then.
Cat, Tiki Dogs, Boltas, and Milan. Putting on the softs and going out for a soft running lap.
Yes,
it will be interesting to see what they can do.
So it looks like Boltas. Is it Boltas? Or is it... No, it's Fat Cat now. The driver who is going to be first across the line. So everyone just spacing themselves out a little bit. Fat Cat dragging those brakes, trying to build temperature into the tires. Oh,
see,
taking a little grass there.
Yeah, don't you want grass on your tires?
Maybe that's the pro strategy. Maybe that's why I sucked so much. I didn't get grass on my tires.
Yeah. That's why you were like 3 seconds off the pace all the time.
That's exactly why. So here we go. Fat Cat with DRS, with soft tires. What can he do? How much of an improvement can he make on his lap time? A little bit of a lock-up there in turn 1. Around Curve Grande, we're going to approach the Sector 1 line. This is probably going to be... It's a 2-second improvement, so it is a purple so far. Nice and smooth through the chicane. Is that the Variante chicane, that second one? I think it's the Variante.
Yep,
Through Lesmo. And a lot of drivers now. In fact, most of them on those softs. And it's a 5.2 second improvement from Fat Cat. It looks like, so at the moment it's a 122, but he's going to take another big chunk out of it here in this sector.
Especially with the amount of grip that he will have coming out of Parabolica as well.
For sure. He'll be able to get on the power so much earlier. And we approach the line. It's going to be below the 20, so it's a 19.4 from Fat Cat. And we're going to see these times very quickly falling. It's a 19.3 from Baltas. Let's see as the Haas comes across the line. And Milan only putting in a 19.6 at the moment. Fat Cat's teammate Tiki Dogs is a 20.0, so not quite able to break those 20s just yet. The Ferrari of Ghost Rider looks like he's just starting a lap, because he's still on a 28.7. So for now,
next driver we will have crossing the line is the Alfa Romeo of Tixnix.
Let's see what Tix can do then. 4.7 second improvement. Coming up towards the line. How close is it going to be? It's 19.7, so P4 for now.
And the Red Bull of Snaff is just starting his lap. Do we have... Mr. Bust is starting his lap. Everyone's starting their laps. No one's actually on a lap.
Kakarina's on a lap at the moment.
Ah, here we go.
What can he do?
Obviously just coming into Ascari now.
4.3 improvement at the moment. Sweeping through Ascari so early on the par. Nearly invalidating on the exit, but does very well to not invalidate. Taking a little bit of slipstream from the McLaren there. Slipstream can give a huge advantage here at Monza. It's the reason why in 2019, if I am not mistaken, we had that absolute fiasco where nobody wanted to lead in the final quali lap because they knew they would just be giving a massive slipstream to everyone behind us. A 19.5 from Kakarina's 4 now to go P4. So 0.2 to the leader at the moment. Can Kakarina's and Tix pull anything further out, Ollie?
I hope so. Not to be biased or anything, but they are my drivers, so...
sure you do hope so.
I'll try not to be too biased. If I do scream, you'll know why.
Yes, indeed. I think you're allowed to be, since I'm completely unbiased, towards McLaren. Then, I think you're allowed to be completely unbiased as well. Isn't that right?
That's good. Because
we all
I will not be able to contain.
yes, indeed. We all have our teams that we all like to see do well, don't we? And talking about doing well, hopefully Flynn can do well on this lap. He is doing the best he can down towards Parabolica. Looking to improve on that 127.7. This is probably going to be his first dry lap for now. I think it's probably going to be in the 20s. Can I get in the 19s? It's not going to be, so it's 20.7 for now. P11 for the McLaren driver at the moment. Let's see if he can step up any further from there.
See, now I'm not sure how long is left of quali because there's a permanent yellow flag up at the moment.
Yes.
I assume someone's in low fuel mode, as we've just had Mintoki set the fastest lap of the session so far with a 19 flat.
That is quite a lap. And let's see, let's go to Milan. Looks like Milan is on an out lap, so we're not going to see Milan. Let's see, Blitz going to be coming around. Looks like it's not an improvement at the moment. Probably an in lap for the Mercedes at the moment. It is Mr. Bust having invalidated a lap. Will probably be boxing here too.
The other Alpine, however, just coming around the final stretch.
Vabo!
Wow!
With a 19.0. So Vabo then takes pole by, what is that? That's half a tenth of a second. Wow.
Really not much in that, as we have 2 minutes left of quali, so people will be coming out for their final runs, making sure that they have plenty of time to get those laps in if they need to. We still do have Crumpets and Chewy Toffee at the moment, who seem to have not set a dry time, although both of them are on laps at the moment. Chewy Toffee just coming down towards the second chicane, I think. Yep. Just coming down to the second chicane,
Indeed.
going through both the Lesmos, and we will see how he can do on the dry tyres.
Yes, indeed. I think Baltas is going to be the next one to start a lap here. Now, the thing is, Ollie, how much of a difference will track evolution play a part here? Oh, one of the alphas overtakes Baltas. Could that be an error? That's going to give a big slipstream to the AlphaTauri here. Don't really want to be starting
Interesting.
your lap first. But anyway, it looks like Tixnix is going to be the first one that will be crossing the line.
Chewy Toffee just about to cross the line and sets a 99 to place his car 11th place so far. And unfortunately, I think that's him done for qualifying. So maybe he just seemed to be a bit offset from the rest of them. Maybe he came out a bit later on the dry tyres for the first stint and didn't think it was good enough and came back out on another set. Don't know. Love to find out after the race.
We will indeed. We're on board with Tixnix at the moment, trying to improve on that 1970. He's got 7/10 of a second to find if he wants to battle for pole here. That is qualifying done then. We are out of time. It's a 2/10 improvement so far. And what has Baltas got? That is going to be the question as well. Baltas with a purple sector 2 as well, although we know to always take that with a pinch of salt.
Mintoki will not improve
Oh,
for.
so I wonder, could the McLaren team get caught out by Track Evolution here, Tix? It's a 19.4, so it's going to be P6 is going to be the best. Baltas then with a 19.0.1. So,
Although, do not count out Vabo.
no.
Vabo is just coming down the
Fat
final
Cat
straight.
has unfortunately invalidated Milan, is not going to improve either. So
Neither
I think
does Vabo. He decides to go into the
Vabo
pits.
boxes. So
There's
where else we need?
Kakarinas, I've just seen. Second place. He
Dietz.
snatched second place.
Dietz on the way to the line with a 6/10 improvement, and it's an 18.8 from Dietz. What a lap! My goodness, that was incredible. Dietz absolutely smashing that lap there. Mercedes of Blitz looks like already done, so we're not going to see improvement. I think that is it then from this qualifying session. So, yeah, amazingly, right at the end, that track evolution is, I think, what helped. Breathe, Mav. Yeah. Oh, don't worry. I'm trying to breathe. Trying to breathe. Absolutely helping Dietz smash an 18.8. First and only driver to crack into those 18s. So Dietz is going to have the best seat in the house down towards turn 1. Baltas alongside. Row 2 is going to be Kakarinas and Vabo. Then we've got Mintucky and Blitz. Row 4, Mr. Bust and Tixnix. What can he do from there? Fat Cat and Snaff probably would have wanted to be a little bit further forward, but unfortunately didn't get very good final runs. Milan and Tiki Dogs is row 6. Tree Toffee and Crumpets row 7. And then we missed out on the final one there. And Pinax, Pinax has got to be gutted. Didn't even get a banker lap to be anywhere in that session. But it means that he's got absolutely nothing to lose and can carry on from there. Yes, Park Fermi as always, is off, so it will allow the drivers to make setup changes.
And we will see what setups they choose to go
Ooh.
for. Do they choose to go for a more downforce related setup for the wets at the start of the session? Or do they hope that it will dry up quick enough for a dry setup to come into play quite early on?
That is going to be the question. Which end of the race do you compromise? Because you've got to choose one or the other. Or do you try to put something balanced in, but maybe balanced, then it won't be good at either side of the race. So, uh,
It will be interesting.
yeah, it is a bit of a crazy forecast. Yeah, the race weather is wrong. Oh no. Um, full wet for the whole race. It could be, because there is a dynamic slot in the middle there. So it is potentially full wet.
It should, however, dry up towards the end.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, so maybe. I know people have been practicing quite a lot, and they've said that it has dried up very quickly, but maybe,
Yes.
just maybe,
Yeah,
everyone's practice has gone out the bin.
yeah, and maybe this dynamic slot has extended that very wet session for most of the race. Yeah, and then so it says like that for over half, and then dries up so quick. Yeah. So still don't count out that it could dry up towards the end of the race. Um, but the good thing about it is we just don't know, which means from the com box we are destined for a very exciting race here today.
And we hope
Yeah,
for no turn one shenanigans.
yes, indeed. Yeah, good question. Miss, why are you not driving? You should be out there today. Here we go. 5 red lights. And away we go. And it looks like we've got an Aston Martin that is really struggling down the back there. But Dietz looks like he's got control down into turn one. Hopefully we don't see... Oh, we have seen a craziness! Mercedes just completely cutting turn one.
What shenanigans have I just seen?
Yeah, that...
As these, it seems, has got a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting for some reason.
Yeah, that was as a result of the contact with Blitz there. Um, So yeah, that's really interesting, and I assume that will. Blitz has risked the intermediate tires. That is probably why um, the Mercedes just went straight on at turn one. Um, it is too wet for the intermediate tires out there, and it looks like then the brakes have just not worked, and it looks like a Red Bull cutting the corner of a Scary going down the inside. Unfortunately, I would assume that penalty for Dietz will have to be served because it is a 10-second time penalty. That is very disappointing indeed, and it will mean heavy penalties for those that did cause it. Kakarinas out of the session, out of Parabolica. Something has happened there to Kakarinas. Unfortunately, he was one of the ones on the wet tires as well, so was going to be doing well. Flynn, one of the ones that is trying the, or is it Mintaki? Mintaki's in the pits. So Flynn actually doing well up there in P9. So Snaff actually holding on okay, but going to be losing out here to Fat Cat. Those intermediate tires really, really not working. I can see why. Yeah, because it's a 10 second, it will be served. Yep. which is very unfortunate indeed. Dietz is going to have to absolutely drive for his life. Snaff really struggling here. It might be better just to pit at this rate. Pinax trying to make a move here on Flynn, who is also causing a bit of a bottleneck here. But Pinax with an excellent exit, already up to P8. Very good drive here from the Ferrari man. As we see, the lap times starting to fall. It's 32.2 at the moment.
Did you just want to put emphasis on the "at" in that sentence?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Engineer Webby, sir, when is it going to dry up? As we as the commentators have no idea. It just looks like torrential downpour out there, as we see Vabo is now 4 tenths behind Dietz. So Dietz is losing a lot of time, quite possibly having side pod damage with that massive shunt at the start of the race. But we will see. Okay, just got home. Now, well, if there is any engineers or drivers, I hope there's not drivers, please do let us know when it's going to dry up.
Enters are slower. No, but it's 100% drying. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, Staff making moves here on Tiki, but was that because Tiki made a mistake? Let's go on board. The Inters guys have been opening up some gaps in the field. Yeah, the wets are just so much better right now. They actually work in this game. Unlike in real
Sorry,
life.
Soybean, I didn't mean to ignore you. Soybean says Inters are flying, and we can see how many people are on Inters tyres.
Yeah, I disagree.
So we have the Red Bull of Snaff, the McLaren of Flynn, Williams of Crumpets, and Blitz Hyper, who got involved in the Lap 1 incident, has pit onto the Inters to replace that wing damage as well.
But I have to say, I disagree. I think the Inters guys are not doing as well. They're just falling down the field. Yeah, Snaff just can't get the power down. While I appreciate sometimes it's worth a bit of a risk, it's just too wet right now. The Inters just cannot bite into the track surface. How about that for some emphasis, Ollie?
I know. Soybean said to ignore him completely.
Yes, indeed. Don't you worry, Soybean. We are ignoring you. Inters are
now, I do
think
that once it starts to get into that window of Inter's tyres being the better tyres, we will see Snaff, Flynn, and Crumpets all completely undercutting. Well, not undercutting because it's not really an undercut.
Yeah.
They'll just completely skip the grid, basically.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You know, it all depends on how much time they lose out in this phase. You know, Snaff starting now to be able to hold on to the cars in front. Maybe this is the switchover point now, but the inter-tire runners already have lost a lot of time to the leaders. But let's keep an eye on it. You know, they can still gain an awful lot of position. Yeah, that's a very good point. Sorry, being the pit lane isn't that long, so maybe it is just better to be on the right tire at the right time, as the legendary Alan Prost once said, as we see Baltas and Tiki Dogs having a bit of a battle there in turn 1 and 2. Baltas, the one coming away, leading there. Mentucky, absolutely flying down at the back. That tells me the wets are the fastest at the moment.
But
we'll probably start to see Inter's drivers getting into a good rhythm and setting faster laps soon. Vabo right on the tail of Dietz here.
Dietz looks like he's struggling quite a lot, so I do have a feeling he has side pod damage. and it really would not surprise me.
For sure.
Because he did take quite a big hit into that side pod of his,
He
unfortunately,
did.
at turn 1.
Yeah. Let's see. Can we see any side pod damage at all? It's almost impossible to tell. Dates boxing. So, Dates choosing then to be the first to make. Could you call it a scheduled pit stop? I suppose it is. And unfortunately, he's probably going to serve a 10-second here. He
He
doesn't.
doesn't.
He doesn't. So that 10-second won't be served in the pits. So Dietz is still in the running then for this race. That is very good news. That is very good news because that 10 seconds, you can serve 10 a 10-second stop go, for example. But yeah, it didn't count that as a 10-second. Yeah, interesting. So that is very good. That's good news for Dietz. He can just keep the head down now and do the best he can to try and prevent the overcut from the Alpine drivers. But the Alpine drivers looked like they were not on rails, but certainly doing very well indeed. But Fabo here doing his best to try the overcut.
Well, we do have a provisional P1 for Snaf as it stands, who currently is 16 seconds behind the leader, aka Vabo. But I think, as far as I'm aware, the pit loss time for this track is about 23 seconds. I think.
Yeah, so
Don't quote me on that.
maybe. Oh, the Alpines are going to double stack!
Interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. Oh, I think it might have been better if Bust had have pitted on the previous lap. Is this going to cost him any time? It is. He's had to stop. But double stacks are vastly improved in this version. And there we go. Our Inter runners now might actually be in the pound seats. Our previous leader coming out a net P5 there, which will turn to P4 once Ghost Rider box. So Dates crucially is ahead of Vabo. So the question then is, can Dates with his newer Inter tires catch up to Snaf? It's gonna be tough to make a pass, but if he can catch up, maybe he can get into a good range of the drivers in front, and then at least battle them during the dry tire phase. But let's keep an eye out here. Ghost Rider might play into this because Ghost is going to be considerably slower now than that Haas driver. Flynn under pressure.
Already down to 1 second.
Yeah, here we
9
go.
tenths now. It's dropping like flies. So it is quite clear to see that the Inters are a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. It is 100% switchover point now. But is
Yeah.
Dietz going to send it? Oh, it's contact! Contact with the rear of the Ferrari. That might let Vabo through. Vabo is through. And now we start to see purple laps coming from everyone.
So we have Crumpets going for a move on Flynn into the first corner.
Flynn
down the inside.
him.
Damn.
Wow, brilliant defensive driving from Flynn there, picking out that braking zone absolutely perfectly. We see a yellow flag for the other Haas. I think that is Milan down at the back there. Ghost Rider is going to come out P14 after taking intermediate tires. So Crumpet's going to have to settle for P3 at the moment. Yeah, Dates is going to have to settle for P5. It's still all to play for, but my goodness, that is a considerable error in judgment there.
Yep. But those new Inters are working very, very well for Vabo and Dietz at the moment. They are now in the train behind Flynn and Crumpets. Vabo 9 tenths behind Crumpets, and Dietz just behind Vabo as well. So they really did not lose much time.
No,
with pitting.
for sure, and I think they will be considerably quicker at this phase because those new intermediate tires will just have an extra little bit of edge to clear water, and they'll just bite that little bit better. So let's see, Vabo is going to try and make a move here, and does then for now demote Crumpets to P4. Is he going to be able to do a double? He does!
They've overtaken both
My
of them.
goodness, Vabo getting both P3 and P4 absolutely had for chips down the straight there. So I wonder, is Vabo using a very low wing setup and Flynn and Crumpets using a high wing setup? That's interesting there.
I think it
Maybe.
might be a case of him using a lot more ERS.
Yeah, potentially so. Let's actually put on our telemetry. Let's see what Flynn and Crumpets have got. So they're all around about the same, but Fabo could have potentially had 100% before making that move, and he's just absolutely dumped it all. So Vabo on the chase then to try and catch up with Snaf, to try and get into a leading position. What can Deets do? Deets trying to recover from Milan then with a 3-second time penalty. Deets is going to go around the outside of Crumpets. So these guys on the older intermediate tires starting to struggle here. And I appreciate that taking one less pit stop sometimes can help you gain position. It's not worth it if your on-track time is slower. Deets then up into P3, just about slotting in front of the McLaren, getting hard on the anchors down into turn 1. Deets then P3 for now. But Snaff doing amazingly well here. Out 9 laps old on those inters. It's still raining, so those intermediate tires have got to be crying a little bit now. But still doing okay. 6 tenths ahead of Vabo. And Vabo, oh wow, I might have to eat those words because Vabo is gonna be right on his gearbox through the Lesmos. He's just got so much more grip.
But, in all fairness, Snaf has made up a lot of positions by staying out on inters.
For sure.
He originally started in P10 to answer your question, Soybean. So he's up 8 positions. Flynn started in P15 and is up 11 positions, and Crumpets started in P14 and is up 9 positions. So it definitely has worked out well for them. It's just a case of when it will dry up at this point. Is Vabo going to be able to run away with it? Is Deets going to get stuck behind Snaf? We will just have to see as the race goes on, as we are now over a third of the way through this race. It's been very, very interesting so far. As Marv is very quiet.
Yes, indeed. I'm just absolutely stunned.
Yeah.
No, it's going
Stunned
well at
into
the moment.
silence.
Stunned into silence, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens as we now get into the later phases of this race. Fat Cat and Baltas here, looking like Blitz with a huge 10-second time penalty there for corner cutting.
I think that might be for cutting the first corner.
Yeah, it looks like it. So Blitz really struggling out there.
Oh, I suppose the stewards will review after the race whether that was an unjust penalty or not, but we will just have to see.
Yes, we will. Mr. Bust now squaring up Flynn for an overtake down into Parabolica. Can the Alpine driver make it? He doesn't. Flynn, very good on the brakes here. He's going to hold it around the outside, but just cannot get the traction around the outside. So Mr. Bust for now through into P4. So that double stack certainly lost Mr. Bust a little bit of time. but doing well, recovering back up to P4 at the moment.
Boosty coming in the chat and saying Mr. Bust is his goat. Well, we'll see if he can win the race from here as well.
Oh, rain has stopped. Yes, rain has stopped. So lap 12 here of 27. The rain has stopped. When is DRS going to be switched on? And is it going to be at a time which is going to be advantageous? Is there going to be anyone that's going to have to double stack? Alpines are the closest probably to having to double stack. Yeah, everyone else pretty well spread out. So from a team point of view, there is... ooh, Deet's almost getting alongside Snaff there. Yeah, so... it's good. There we go! DRS is enabled. So we're probably going to see an awful lot of people jumping into the pits. What tire do you go for? This is going to be absolutely crucial what tire you choose. Snaff looks like he's going to box. Deets looks like he's not. Oh, Deets does. So, into the pits we must go. E-I-E-I-E-I-O.
And we will see what tyres they do go onto. But
Yes.
as Vers said, it is looking likely that it is mediums,
It's
as Vabo has
mediums.
just gone onto mediums. Same with Snaff, same with Deets and Crumpets. Same with Mr. Bust. Fat Cat goes on to hards.
Flynn,
Crumpets goes
Crumpets
on to
on
hards.
hards. Interesting. Blitz has continued on the intermediate tires. That's very interesting. So, Blitz likely going to be losing out an awful lot of time here.
As yep, Snaff is already within that 1 second window. Wow, almost. He just seems to have lost out a little bit now. But we will see if he can get back in there after this chicane. Which he does. Gains about 7/10.
Yep.
To Blitz Hyper.
Yeah, soybean, that's why this game is broken. Yep, this is F1 for you. The weather system is just useless. Thanks, EA. Snaff making his way through for P2. The drive on those medium tires just considerably better.
As we now also have Deets stuck behind Blitz Hyper. Although Deets is going for a move down the straight, even before the corner. So nicely done by Deets there. Now, if Blitz Hyper does not pit here, it'd be very, very questionable.
I think it would, but there he goes into the pits. We must go. All good. So, now the question is, mediums or hards?
Well, he's serving his 10-second time penalty, I think, or 5-second. And he goes on to the medium.
So, 3 drivers on hard tires, everyone else on mediums. I don't think the hards, I don't think it's dried up early enough for the hards to be viable. So, I think those on the hards are just going to drop. But, there's only one way to find out, and that is to stay tuned.
Nice little plug for the stream there.
Yes, indeed.
The only way you get to find out what happens is if you watch.
If you watch, precisely, yes.
There's a nice little battle is ensuing between Fat Cat and Crumpets here, down into a Scary, where, with the helping of DRS, Fat Cat has managed to make his way into P7. Now on the charge to Boltas and Flynn ahead, further down the back straight on the run into Parabolica, as we've just had our new fastest lap of the race. By Snaff at 21.6.
Scratch that. So, interesting that Snaff, now faster than Vabo, can he chase down the leader and challenge for Boltas, making a very easy pass on the McLaren. I do suspect the McLaren using considerably higher wings at the moment.
Yeah, but we have a nice little battle here between Flynn and Boltas for P5. Dietz is trying to cut down the gap to
Oh,
Snaff.
Mintaki and Ghost Rider. Sorry to cut across you there, Ollie. Mintaki making it past Ghost Rider up into P13.
Oh, there we go. Mintoki trying to make a charge back into the top 10 positions. Obviously, the top 10, the only points scoring positions for F1. And we do have an additional point, obviously, for the fastest lap. But most of you know this by now.
Oh, Dietz has got himself a 3-second time penalty. That is going to hurt in that battle for the lead if he can get back into contention. Crumpets down the inside of Fat Cat. So Fat Cat's going to have to settle for P8 for now, but he's going to have the DRS next turn. And Tix just waiting there. The sole remaining alpha.
As we now have
down the inside, Parabolica. And, Fat Cat got the move done. Who's going to get DRS, though? Everyone, it looks like. Who's going to get it? Everyone but the Williams. Can Tixnix get the move done on Fat Cat? He does. So the superior drive of those medium tires just helping him to blow past the Aston Martin and the Williams in one straight. Absolutely wonderful move there from him.
As a newer fastest lap of the race, Mintoki going 1 second quicker than everyone else on track currently with a 20.7.
Yeah,
so
really
those mediums
interesting.
working well.
It's a bit of a shame to see Mintoki down there in P13. I assume Mintoki got into an incident in the early phase of the race, and that is Snaff.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I think disconnecting. Yeah.
okay. Let me get him an invite.
Warping backwards. Might still be in the session, but lag, unfortunately, warped him backwards into P4. He hates seeing that. It's a really horrible way to lose position, but he's going to try and take back P3 as he overtakes Mr. Bust using the DRS. Can Flynn do the same? Not quite. Yeah, I think that that McLaren using big chonky wings.
As we have a move from Pinax.
Yeah, he's getting himself up into P11 at the moment. It's not a wonderful race from the Ferraris here today. P11 and P14 as Blitzhyper retires from the session. I think that was in the pit lane. So Blitz has had enough for today.
Now down to 15 drivers from 17, so only 2 DNFs so far. So I might have just jinxed that, hopefully not. With 10 laps to go.
Yes,
so
indeed.
we are halfway through. And the final 10 laps are going to be constant battles for who can get the highest possible position.
Fat Cat's out! That is scary. Let's see if we can go to the cars around there. What happened? Fat Cat went straight on into the wall there. Was that as a result of a collision? Or I think Tixnix and Fat Cat were side by side going down into Ascari. So that's going to be interesting to see what occurred there. As Panax and Chewy Toffee then go wheel to wheel. So Chewy Toffee taking that final points position away from Pinax.
Obviously, though, the 2 Ferraris started back of the grid. So they have kept their noses out of incidents, and they have now made their way to 11th and 13th, respectively.
Yes, indeed. In all fairness, they've kept the head down, and yep, at the moment, they've beaten 3 drivers, so, yep, that's what it's all about. It's about keeping the head down and doing the best you can. Dietz then with another time penalty. That's probably going to put him out of contention for the lead of this race. Because even if he catches Vabo, it's going to be tough to pull out a 6-second gap. Mr. Bust going for a move on Snaff, but Snaff looks like he's got very, very low wings. that Red Bull very quick in a straight line here at the Temple of Speed. Usually one of the races where you want to be using absolutely minimum wing, but he's going to go for a move down into turn 1. Here we go. And gets that move done. So it's 1-3 for the Alpines at the moment. As Milan then, unfortunately, retiring from the session. At Ascari as well. So Ascari claiming 2 drivers so far. We tend to see quite often that Ascari chicane claims a lot of drivers. It's very, very tough to do when you're under pressure.
I think I may have jinxed it.
Uh-oh. Everyone now is just going to get absolutely deleted every time we go through Ascari.
Yep.
But
a nice little train forming here, actually.
Yeah, this
From
is
3rd
really
to
interesting.
6th.
And any of these 4 drivers could get that final step on the podium, because they're all going to be pulling each other along with DRS now.
Be a nice little battle coming into the final few laps.
Snaff massively wide. That's going to allow Bottas down the inside already. And then the DRS is going to click open. Oh, but Snaff pulls it back again. But is someone going to go down the inside at turn 1? Not right now. And there's a little bit of contact as Flynn has to settle in P6 at the moment and watch this occurring. Bottas and Snaff side by side again. Down into the very anti-chicane here. Bottas ahead for now. So, in this particular battle, Mr. Bottas, Snaff, and Flynn, the current order. And with 7 laps to go, is this battling going to allow Tix then to come into it as well?
He's a bit far away, 5 seconds, but you never know.
Oh, Flynn trying to make a move on Snaff there. Snaff having to go wide to avoid contact. But it looks like Flynn for now into P5. I wonder if Snaff just struggling a little bit. Maybe because he is using lower wing, those tires have just been chewed up a little bit more than others. But Bottas looking to size up Mr. Bust in P3, sending it around the outside, gets that move done as easy as you like. DRS just so powerful here.
Now on to the final few laps. 21 of 27 laps, in fact. And still, there is a nice little train from 3rd to 6th. So for these final few laps, it's going to be a bit unknown as to who will get that final podium position. And Tix, who I said was 5 seconds down, is now 4 seconds down. So he's cut that time down by a second in that lap. So you never know, he could get in the running for these positions as well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's on an absolute charge here. So hopefully we can see him catch up to the back of this train and we get a 5-car battle for the final step of the podium. Precious points are on offer here. And in fact, it's actually going to be net P2 because Dietz with that 6-second penalty could end up dropping a considerable number of positions. He's not pulling away from this battle as quickly as he would have liked. Mr. Bust, though, might help out Dietz by battling Bottas. Because the more these guys battle, the more they drop behind Dietz.
Indeed.
And the more they invite Tix into the battle as well.
Yep. But Dietz has 5 laps to gain 1.7 seconds on Bottas. Obviously, we don't know whether that 10-second time penalty will get removed yet or not.
For sure.
That is still yet to be seen and will be determined in the steward's room on Tuesday evening, if it's reported.
Yes, indeed. Although, in this particular commentator's opinion, because it was a result of contact with another driver, and he was completely not at fault, yeah, I think it will be. So he's really racing for that P2 spot at the moment. But he's got to pull out that gap. And Texnix looks like he stalled a little bit here. Mr. Bust now squaring up Baltas, and he makes the move. And Snaff also going to try the move on Flynn. They're side by side. Flynn holds on to it for now, though. Flynn really absolutely smashing those braking zones. So, despite drivers pulling alongside him, he's able to actually defend into the braking zone, doing absolutely brilliantly well here. Got a good
As
feel.
Mintoki at the back, P12, has managed to catch up to Pinax and Chewy Toffee in P11 and 10. So a nice little fight coming here for the final points scoring position.
And that could then decide which team is going to be a double point scorer. Are Red Bull going to get double points, or McLaren going to get double points?
Or a Ferrari going to get their
or a Ferrari
points.
going to get there? Yep, exactly. Snaff making it past Flynn here. We could see these guys just changing position every lap. Gap to Mr. Boss now. 5.1 seconds. Another 0.9 of seconds here. And theoretically, Dietz could be CF4 P2. But now Baltas taking back P3 here.
Blitz Hyper, did anyone suffer from the turn 1 incident?
Yes, Dietz did. Potentially floor damage and the 10-second time penalty.
Race win prediction, Vabo.
Yeah, Vabo just doing a great job here. Just on board with Vabo now. Just nice, calmly controlled, keeping that 6-second gap there to Dietz at the moment. Just doing what needs to be done to hold on to that position. The only real contention at the moment is for this final podium spot. 4 guys fighting over it. Tix really has stalled. He's not caught up any more than that 4-second. Although Snaff really is out of the fight now because of that 3-second time penalty. That even if he does get position, let's actually look at positions gained. So even if Snaff is able to gain position and get ahead of the 2 drivers in front, he's probably going to lose it as a result of those time penalties. Look at those positions gained. So Flynn, the biggest mover, up 9 positions. So Flynn really making great use out of strategy and pace here today to be up there in P6, 9 positions up. Pinax, another big mover as well, up 7 positions there into P11. But as that happens, Chewy takes back that final points paying spot.
Tix has managed to cut down the gap to 3.3 seconds. I still don't think it's going to be enough, but he's done quite well for himself.
Yeah, he's got the pace. I wonder if just the consistency's just not quite there.
Quite possibly.
Because it's not that this group has lost time, because the gap to Dietz is still the same. So yeah, interesting. Just out of nowhere, we're gonna have 3 wide down into turn 1 here. wisely, Snaff backs out of that. He knows that that was going to end up in a complete plane crash as Bottas gets a little bit sideways out of turn 1.
And now Flynn, because of that 3 wide situation, he was out of a second. He's now back in within a second,
Yeah,
being 8 tenths back.
lucky boy.
But we will see if he manages to hold on to that second gap, manages to hold on to that DRS, or that final podium position, although it is net P2 at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Blitz, that's perfectly understandable. It's unfortunate. Sorry, I'm getting to you now. Yeah, best still to provide your POV, and we can get a look at it. And you know, it will probably still be a severe penalty because of the results that did occur. But yep, it happens. No, we know it certainly wasn't intentional at all. We know you're a good driver. But anyway, sad to see you having left the race.
On to the final lap now,
Here
though.
we go. Oh! Mr. Bust! Sorry, rip headphone users. Mr. Bust getting very sideways. Nice phone ding, yeah. Yeah,
Have you not heard that the whole way throughout the stream? Although, to be fair, it could just be Discord picking up more than the stream can.
Maybe it could be. Who texted me? That's for me to know. So...
It was me.
Yeah, Ollie's trying to make me a bad streamer because I have my phone on.
Yep.
Oh, this is really interesting. Bottas only 5.5 behind Dietz here. But Boss now takes the position into Ascari.
But now, for the final time, Vabo
Oh, they're going to be side by side. Oh, it's going to be 3 wide. Oh, rip headphone users. Sorry, Bottas. Side by side. Oh, and there was a little light tap there, but Bottas is going to come towards the line. And it is going to be Bottas then getting that, we think P2, obviously, Dietz's 10-second time penalty does need to be reviewed, so do take that with a pinch of salt, but for now, Bottas getting that P2 there. Hopefully Dietz saved the replay there. That'll be unfortunate if he hasn't. But yeah, wow, and Vabo taking the win there. Sorry we didn't talk much about Vabo, but it was just such a nice, calm, controlled race there from Vabo. Absolutely excellent stuff. Just from start to finish, called the strategy absolutely beautifully. And then we had that wonderful battle in the middle there. Just really, really incredible stuff. Mintaki is the one that comes away then with fastest lap with a 20.7. Really, really considerably quicker than everyone else on track. So what could have been if Mintaki had have stayed in those lead positions? Good Mintaki have got away with a podium there. Flynn with an absolutely incredible drive there from P15 up to P6. So a very good drive from Flynn there today. Ferrari go away with no points there today, which is unfortunate. But both drivers kept it in there, and it's all about keeping it consistent. But a double podium there for Alpine, at least on paper at the moment. And yeah, wow, what a drive then from those guys. So let's just then pop over to, we'll put you on the Asetek screen. Don't forget that if you would like some Asetek gear, do check out our affiliate link. Anything you buy through the website will help us then boo Moza better, Well, we do actually have Moza affiliation as well. So if you are in the market for some sim racing gear, please, please, please reach out to us. Let us get you that link to either Moza or Asetek. I have to say the Asetek pedals are very good. Wrong account again. Yeah, darkness. Um, and let us help you get some good gear because then that goes and it helps us an awful lot. So, no one in the waiting room at the moment. So, Ollie, let's just grill you at the moment. Final thoughts on that race?
Vabo, first race with us here at Phoenix, and takes Tier 2 by storm at the moment,
For
winning
sure.
by a 6-second margin, I think it was,
For sure.
without penalties.
Absolutely incredible stuff there from Vabo. Just a very nicely controlled race. And, despite the turn one kerfuffle, Dietz had the win in his hands there as well. Unless, there was some floor damage, which would then have resulted in a car that's very, very hard to handle. Um, but yeah, Vabel was there, right place, right time, and had the consistency of the pace, and took it today. And that battle for the podium, who one of the drivers is in the waiting room at the moment. Ollie, you want to take interviews?
Uh, I'll leave it to you. You're the main commentator.
Go on. Hello, Flynn.
Hey,
Welcome. An interesting race there today. Qualifying looked like it was quite tough for you there, but turns out at the end of the race, you were one of the drivers that made the largest number of moves. That strategy, looking like it really paid off in the end. It looked like it was a major struggle towards the start, um, but paying off in the end, and you were in there for the podium.
yes.
Maybe uh, you know it it looked like you were maybe struggling a little bit with the top speed. We're using slightly higher
Mm,
wings today. Talk us through
yeah.
your race.
So for qualifying to begin with, my lap starting at the back of the grid was actually on purpose because I didn't want to be involved in the carnage. And then obviously earlier on I'd had a discussion with Webby and we tested out the interstrat, so I went for the inters and somehow got a few overtakes done on that, which was quite interesting. My wing levels were 18, 15, so I was quite strong in sector 2, but on the straights it was a bit of a struggle. But having Webby engineer me through the whole race paid off pretty well.
Excellent. Any questions yourself then, Ollie?
How was starting on the Inters? Was it a bit sketchy?
To be honest, this is going to sound weird, but it wasn't sketchy at all. It literally just felt the same as the wets. The braking was fine, cornering was fine, grip was fine. It was just, yeah, there were some moments I had to take it easy on the first lap, but apart from that, it was fine,
The
chill.
difference was inters to wets was about 2 to 3 seconds, but then when the inters were, it was inters conditions and it was wet, and I think it was a bigger gap. I think it was like 4 to 5 maybe, because they were dead by then. So yeah, it was definitely the best strat to go for because there was going to be a longer inter time to the wet time. So
Oh, well,
Very
glad to
nice.
see it paid off in the end.
Definitely a very interesting choice. Interesting choice. Get it? Oh
should have
no,
been a P4, but
that's
Flynn spun at the end. I don't know if you noticed.
yeah.
Last
Oh,
corner hit the grass and spun.
Yeah,
oh
I
Not good
was,
no.
conditions.
I just tapped the grass and then, yeah,
Silly
unfortunate.
boy, but hey, it happens. But yeah, good drive there today. Good solid points for the team. Both cars in the points there today. So I think you can be happy with a good result there today.
Yes, very happy indeed.
Good, good, good. All right then. Let's move over. We'll put you guys back in the other box. Bring Tix in here. So Tix, an interesting race there today. You were involved in a couple of the battles. And there was a lovely battle going on ahead of you, but just didn't quite have the pace to catch up to it. Talk us through how your race was there
I
today.
I I quite enjoyed it overall in terms of the amount of overtakes.
Excellent.
I got to have some fun on track. I didn't like, however, that I was put so far behind, basically, on lap one, because just avoiding incidents. So I lost a lot of ground on the guys ahead. You know. Then at the end, I pushed so hard at the end to
Yep.
try and get within that 3 seconds. That was one of my best performances probably,
Excellent.
and it's just so close and yet so far.
For sure.
Three times. Three
Yep.
times.
It's unlucky. But it means then that for the rest of the season, you've got good pace. And this was going to be always going to be a tricky race to do with the way the strategy fell and all that kind of stuff. So, are you hopeful then for the rest of the season?
I'm hopeful for Brazil, definitely.
Excellent.
And I'm quite worried about Spain because I don't like it, but I think the 23 layout will do better in terms of it will help the racing a bit. I think because there won't be that horrible chicane at the end.
Yes, indeed. That is a very good point.
Yeah. I need to improve my qualifying pace, definitely. I ended up 8th instead of I should have been at the front. It's just unfortunate.
Yep, for sure. But hey, that is racing. But glad to hear you enjoyed it at least, and thanks for coming in and talking to us.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Let's bring in Chewy then. Chewy, welcome. Little bit of potentially a disappointing race there today, just missing out on those points, but you gained positions from the start of the race, and you were in there around about the battle towards the end. Talk us through how your race went there today.
Oh, it's a joke. No safety cars. I can't recover. I was fighting cleanly, and the Haas spun me round.
Yep.
Took wing damage. Can't recover. No safety car to save me.
Yep.
It's a joke.
It's
joke.
it's unlucky.
All this has done is made it a boring race because you can't.
Well,
Everyone's too far apart. It's boring.
No, I disagree. We had an absolutely
It-
brilliant race there. Oh, we had an absolutely brilliant race there at the front. So unfortunate to see what happened there to you today. But yeah, unlucky. That is gonna be it then for us here in Tier 2. Thank you very much for joining us. That was an absolutely excellent race. I really, really enjoyed that. Ollie, anything you'd like to say?
Oh, it was just interesting. Monza in the wet.
Yep.
Very chaotic, but very fun to watch at the same time.
Definitely. Excellent. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone. And don't forget, we will be back very shortly for Tier 1. Hopefully you'll join us then. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.